Hey guys, how are you? Jason Balin and Chris Haddon from Hard Money Bankers and the Private Lenders podcast. We're going to introduce our guest Abhi here in a second, but thanks for tuning in to this week's Private Lenders podcast. Hopefully you're enjoying everything at the Hard Money Mastermind as well. If you have not checked out the Hard Money Mastermind, make sure you go over there, get your free account, hardmoneymastermind.com. Pretty much the only place that I know that real private lenders, aspiring private lenders, could be private, could be hard money lenders, are there kind of for free talking. There's forums, there's a lot of videos, content pieces like this. We share our real life experiences. Chris and I run a full-time hard money business. We have been for 15 years. And our joke is, if we're not talking about this stuff together in our offices, we might as well just talk to everybody else, out there, because this is what we love. This is what we do. We talk about it all the time. So sitting to that way, depending on how you're looking at Zoom, maybe it's this way. We have Abhi Golhar. Chris and I have known Abhi going on 6 years, 7 years.
Around there.
I'll let him.
So yeah.
I'll let him do his own introduction, so I don't have to chop it up too much. But the main topic for today is mass lead generation using this number one YouTube tactic. There's obviously a lot of ways to generate business for borrower leads, maybe even raising private capital leads. But Abhi's a complete expert at a lot of stuff, digital marketing, and YouTube is such a great source. It's a way that we generate a lot of business, borrower business for our hard money company. So I'll let Abhi do his thing. And I know he's got a presentation as well. So welcome.
Cool, guys. You guys rock, by the way. Thanks so much for having me. I am a huge fan of your mastermind. I've learned a lot from your education as well. So, I mean, there is not a mastermind in the country that's like yours, that is so detailed when it comes to understanding, like, if I'm a first-time lender, what do I do to go and create my business? How do I grow my business? How do I build my relationships? What if I'm like afraid to do that a little bit? And so what I love about your group is you give an open forum that allows for vulnerability and allows for discussion. So dude, thank you, both of you, for making that happen for sure. I've got a couple slides here. I'm going to fly through these, but I want to give you a background and a foundational level of understanding of why we're doing YouTube. And then we'll go into kind of what you should do on YouTube, and then an example of what I'm doing on YouTube. I recently cleared my YouTube channel out altogether, and it's been a really interesting ride to better understand the YouTube algorithm, because that algorithm changes. And if you're a private lender, and if you're thinking about jumping into the space, lead generation is one of the things that you absolutely have to pay attention to. So we'll get started here. A little bit about me. I grew up in Michigan, a huge real estate fan, a huge Go Blue Michigan fan as well. But one of the things that I did way back in the day was fail in Detroit. That's really where I learned how to invest in real estate. You talk about the life in the school of hard knocks. I got it. Inner city Detroit is no joke, especially for a 5'5", 135 brown man like myself. You do not want to catch yourself in inner city Detroit. That's a big no-no. And I learned how to lend. I learned how to borrow. I learned how to work with contractors. I learned to be a white collar real estate investor. I'm not a blue collar, even though I grew up in a blue collar state, I'm not a blue collar investor. I mean, look at me. Like, I'll lift a 5-pound dumbbell because it's not 10 pounds. Like that is just what, it just works for me. I'm a real estate investor here in Atlanta. I'm a huge business investor as well. I take a very passive approach, as many of you might be watching this or maybe you're lending your money because you don't want to actually do the hard work of building a property or renovating a property yourself. So you'll lend the money to somebody that wants to do that. I love acquiring businesses, but then investing in real estate passively. And one of the number one ways that I drive visibility to borrowers to generate deal flow is on YouTube. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that today. So let me go ahead and just kind of jump into here. Build your influencer brand is something that I love talking about, but one of the challenges that real estate investors, lenders like yourselves have in the space is just a lot of noise. You got big forum groups, you've got articles, you've got LinkedIn posts, then you have this brown guy telling you what to do, right? And that's only professionally. Then you might have your job, you might have your spouse, you might have kids, your dog Fluffy, and then the renovation that's going on in your house. So there's a lot of noise that's preventing you from maybe taking a step into the YouTube world, or maybe even video. Hell, it doesn't even have to be YouTube just for right now. It could be getting on camera, getting on this freaking camera and just recording yourself and saying, hey, my name's Jason Balin, and I'm a private lender and I live in Texas, and this is what I'm doing. That's a big deal for a lot of people to actually jump into. So that's tough. And I appreciate you hanging with me for a little while as I kind of break down how you can do that a little better. So because of this noise, don't you believe this? It's become harder. And inventory is low. What does that mean? There's increased competition for this inventory. And then there's even that much more competition for lenders in the space to lend out your hard-earned dollars to see a return. And what's happening in the space now? If you're in really competitive markets, your interest rates are taking a nosedive because you're super competitive. Last year, around not this time, maybe like a couple of months, like July, August, you could have gotten away with 12, 13, 14, 15%. Not today as much, unless you live in maybe like Waco, Texas or something, right? Like unless you're in a super rural market that not a lot of lenders serve, then you're not going to see the 12, 13, 14% return. So what do we have to do? We have to think like a media company. So think of yourself, your face, this beautiful face that you got, even though I'm pretty sure Jason and Chris would agree, I've got a face for radio. So I hate you guys already. You suck. I know what you're thinking. I'm better at hacky sack than you. And that's okay. I just might be, but that's another issue for a different day. So thinking like a media company is important because you can put your first step into that idea instead of the idea of holy shit, now I have to do video. And then the most important thing here is execute. It would make sense if you've heard this before, because that's because Gary Vaynerchuk said it. I didn't. I'm just using it because I think it's smart. Okay, business today has a crisis. What is the crisis? That's the crisis. When you're doing a video, don't talk about yourself. So rule number one, right? If you're a lender and you've got $1 million bajillion or even a couple $100,000 you want to lend out, the last thing you should do is talk about yourself and how great you are and etc. Talk about the value that your borrower gets by working with you. Maybe you're a new investor, maybe you're a new lender, and you're like, hey, I really want to grow with somebody. Well, that to me as a potential borrower means that I can have a long-term relationship with you, number one, and number two, we can develop a rapport. So you don't have to sit here and check my application every time, right? That's a really big deal for somebody like me that's thinking, I want to do 5 or 10 or 15 flips, because my game, say I'm using me as the universal borrower, my game is, well, I want to flip, and then maybe buy a rental or set up myself for generational wealth. Maybe I don't want to go with a national lender because they don't see me for the way I want them to see me. I want to work with somebody local. I want to work with somebody that is also entrepreneurial, that gets it. So if you're talking about you, and more of you, how irritating is that to a guy like me? I don't give a shit about you. I care about me. So help me get to where I want to be and you'll get all my business. All right, we understand that. The equation here that we want to pay attention to is a trust equation. One of my really dear friends, really good friend, Charlie Green, he co-authored a book called The Trusted Advisor. In this book, I think it's chapter 6 or chapter 7, he talks about the trust equation: credibility, reliability, intimacy, and self-orientation. You might be thinking, Abhi, I did not come here to talk about my intimacy. I'm like, first of all, it's not even that kind of show. It's, when I talk about intimacy, I'm talking about, man, I want to get to know Jason and Chris and their families and what's going on in their world to the point where I can text them back and forth and say, hey, what's up? This happened very recently on one of my podcasts that I host. And I'm like, Jason, hey man, listen, I had somebody back out. You're the first guy I thought of. Any chance you can just jump on? And you know what? He and I have a rapport. He and I have trust. He said, absolutely, no problem. I need more brown friends in my life anyway. So we'll go ahead and make this happen. So the equation here is you have your numerator and your denominator. If the trust factor decreases if you talk about yourself all the time. But if you display credibility, reliability, and an intimate understanding of their family and who they are as a person, then your trust goes which way? It goes up, right? Exactly. UGC, if you're building a website or if you're also including things in video, 85% of website visitors are more influenced by UGC. What does UGC stand for? You're like, Abhi, stop using words we don't understand. Here we go. User generated content. So maybe you have a YouTube video that you're about to do and you have a testimonial from one of your borrowers. What a perfect way to either start, end, or throw that testimonial in the middle of your video so that somebody watching it says, hey, cool, okay, social proof tells me, the borrower, that this lender is somebody worth working with, and we should absolutely do that. So just kind of keep that in mind too. UGC plays a really big part in establishing your authority, in establishing trust. The reason that you're going to shop on Amazon and you're going to buy Apple products is why? Exactly. Not only user-generated content, but the trust, the implied trust that user-generated content gives you, the consumer. First rule here: don't buy followers. Just don't do that. I mean, if you're, let me just, here we go. If you are pitched on LinkedIn, I get emails all the time. Hey, we can increase your followership to like 10,000 on Instagram, whatever. Just don't do it. You'll probably be blacklisted, and Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook will hate you. Rule number 2, you want to engage thoughtfully. Here's an example of something you should not do. And when you're engaging, it shouldn't just be an emoji. It shouldn't just be a couple of words. It actually should be not this. This is bullshit. I don't even know what this is. This to me reminds me of somebody from the Philippines trying to spam me for something. Instead, on LinkedIn, consider something like this, where you have 31 likes. This comment that I left for this guy's post generated 2 phone calls. So the more intentional we are with the messages we're creating and posting online, the better that will be. And this also goes for YouTube. Rule number 3, you want to create a community, just like what Chris and Jason have done with the Hard Money Mastermind. You want to create a community. Create a community of your own borrowers and speak to those borrowers using video, using articles. I'm talking about video today because it's one of the most powerful ways of communicating ideas that I know. But if you have a blog, great. If you have a Facebook group, great. If you have your own private Facebook group, amazing. Because this way you get to sell through your customers instead of selling to them. This charcoal toothpaste is a great example of that. I used charcoal toothpaste until I realized it's actually bad for you. But during the initial push of the charcoal toothpaste company, I said, "Whoa, this is amazing!" And I tagged them on my Instagram posts and Instagram video and pictures, and they messaged back. They said, "Hey, well, thank you so much for doing that." I said, "Great." That's a prime example of selling through your customers. The best way to get business as a private money lender is what? You want other borrowers talking about you. Man, Jason was so great working with. His draws were on time. He doesn't F around. He has the cash. He's not going to just say he has the cash and allocate it for 4 projects at a time, and then your draws are delayed because, for me, the borrower's draws are delayed because he has to go source other capital by calling his buddies or calling credit card companies and stuff. That's a really big deal for borrowers. I want to address Twitter for a second, or not. Let's just not address Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you just no, bad idea. All right, YouTube. Let's jump right into it. I'm a huge Detroit real estate fan. So here's the way that YouTube works. YouTube works on search intent. Duh. Just like Instagram, just like every other search engine. Google does the exact same thing. What do you see here? This here is called predictive search. So what YouTube is trying to do is get an understanding of what you're going to search and present options based on your search intent. So if you type in Detroit real, it'll give you a bunch of examples: Detroit real estate investing, real estate 2019, reality TV, etc. As you can see here. What's interesting though is you can do this for any city, any state, any keyword that you want nationwide. So let's take Detroit as an example, or in this case, Ann Arbor, because I went to school in Ann Arbor. So let's do this. If I'm typing in Ann Arbor real estate, and let me put you in a frame of mind while we're going through this example. You are a content creator on YouTube, and you want to offer value to find borrowers. That's the frame I want you to be in. So if you're doing a real estate market analysis video, that's probably something that you could do maybe every quarter or maybe every month, because things change, right? The Inventory, the amount of inventory on the market a couple of months ago was 0.6 months. Today is a little more than that. What does that mean? The market's rebalancing. Maybe there's some news there that you can use in a video. So let's say we're in Ann Arbor and we want to create a video about Ann Arbor real estate. Well, what is this YouTube algorithm telling me? That Ann Arbor real estate market, the first search result, was posted a year ago. It has 197 views. The second search result was posted 8 years ago, and that it is the second most relevant search result to my search intent. So really, YouTube is kind of like grasping at straws to find relevant information about, say, Ann Arbor real estate. So maybe this is something that you can do a video on. Here's another example: Columbus, Ohio real estate market. Now, why you want to live in Columbus, Ohio, I don't know. I'm a Michigan guy, so for all intents and purposes, if you live in Columbus or have any ties to Columbus, you can go to hell. But if you've got if you do the search term Columbus, Ohio real estate market, and you want to maybe do a video around Columbus, Ohio real estate and analysis, what do you see here? You see that YouTube says the #1 ranked video for that search term is this gal from Ask Riggs. She's had 443 views 6 months ago. What do you think about her YouTube thumbnail? I think it sucks. Like, she has a very pretty face, but I think she could be doing like maybe a different action with her face or showing a different emotion. If she's talking about coronavirus, one of the reasons why this YouTube is working is because it says Columbus, Ohio real estate market 2020. Let's look at the next search term, the next search result: Columbus real estate market trends and statistics 2019. The thumbnail for this video looks like something you'd see on CNN with a bunch of numbers and things. I can't even really see the numbers. Real Wealth Network. I mean, I know that's Kathy Fettke. She does a great podcast, but she's ranked #2. The YouTube thumbnail blows. And this is a video that was posted a year ago, and it's talking about 2019 statistics. So what does that tell me why should I even care as a lender? There's no real updated 2021 information, or maybe even if there is, there's no consistent updated 2021 real estate information about the Columbus, Ohio real estate market. So if you live in Columbus, Ohio, and you find an opportunity to talk about the real estate market, and you do that monthly as like a new video series, you're going to win the game here. And how do I know? Because TubeBuddy, TUBE, TubeBuddy, is the name of an application that I use to test whether or not my hypothesis of a keyword is good or not. So I type in Columbus, Ohio real estate market, and it pops up this little speedometer thing, and it says, for this keyword, Columbus, Ohio real estate market being the keyword, hey, it's not too competitive, and it has enough search volume to make it worth targeting. So if I created one YouTube video a month in Columbus, Ohio real estate market, just to find whether it's, maybe I want to find investors, maybe I want to find borrowers, maybe I want to find potential opportunities, whatever that is, and I'm just attracting all sorts of opportunities to my email inbox, maybe I should do one video a month on Columbus, Ohio real estate market, talking about even the different suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. And then of course, throw in how much why Ohio University sucks, which would be fantastic. And then tag me in the video, and I'll make it a nice little showpiece for the Think Realty podcast. Here's something else. If you want to track those borrowers that are flipping for the first time, or they're buying for the first time, this is another potential opportunity. Or even if you're a mortgage originator, right? This is probably something that's up your alley. Buy first home, Columbus, Ohio. Again, let's go through the same analysis. Best way to buy a home in Columbus, Ohio, the very first YouTube video. TJ Moore, 2,900 views on his video. He posted it 3 years ago. That's ridiculous. That's what YouTube is saying is the #1 most relevant video that they should display with this keyword search. And then we have #2 and 3. The thumbnails are not inspiring. The videos there are no recent videos other than the most recent one 8 months ago. What does that tell you? That tells you that there's plenty of opportunity on YouTube to crush it. Here's proof of that. TubeBuddy analysis tells me 98 out of 100. Hey, there's a little competition for buy first home in Columbus, Ohio, but this keyword is searched so often, it's worth targeting. So if all you did was create a video once a week or once a month, depending on how much time you have, you dominate the game, wouldn't you say? So there are a couple things you need to know. Number one, thumbnail, title, description, and tags. I'm gonna walk you through this real quick here. First and foremost, when you're doing a video on YouTube, your thumbnail is what matters. You can have the best YouTube video in the world. You can have the best content, the best guests, whatever. But if nobody's clicking through to your video, they're not watching the content of your video. So YouTube's CTR, click-through rate, your click-through rate, you should aim over time to target as close to 5% as you can. Many of you might, because as you're starting out, you might see 10, 15%, you might see 1%, it just kind of depends. But if you're consistent, you'll start to see anywhere between 5 and 6% click-through rates, which means that you're doing a pretty good job. There are 3 elements of any good YouTube thumbnail: your face, 4 words, and an image. As you can see here to the top left, you have a face, you have a couple of words, 4 words and a number, and dollars falling from the sky. In this video, I talk about how you can make it rain. There are 10 rules to make it rain. And this video should be no longer than 6 to 8 minutes long. The second thing you want to do is pay really close attention to your keyword title. Remember, we just finished talking about Columbus, Ohio. You can rewind, like maybe go back 2 minutes. If you want to target buy first home Columbus, Ohio, that would be in the title of your YouTube video. So maybe how to buy your first home in Columbus, Ohio, or more specifically, how to buy your first flip in Columbus, Ohio, how to buy your first flip in Baltimore, Maryland, Chris, right? Like these are things that you could do as videos. The next section down below, as you'll see, is the description. You've got a couple of sentences, and then you have what I call a chapter list, or I think YouTube calls it a chapter list, but you have a bunch of timestamps below. When you're watching the YouTube video, and I know you do this all the time, you're like you're skipping forward to see like where are the best parts. It's so much easier just to provide a better user experience by creating links to where the user, the viewer, can jump to different sections in your video. So let's say you have a video on buying your first flip in Detroit, Michigan. We're going to change it a little bit. Buying your first flip in Detroit, Michigan, and you talk about important topics on the 45-second marker, 2 minutes into the video and 3 minutes into the video. Then if you just type in 45 seconds, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes into the description and give it a little title like I've done here below, the viewer can easily jump to those sections in the video. Last but not least, you want to talk about these tags here. These tags, there's a little bit of controversy to see how effective these tags really are. If you're new, you know what? You might as well get every edge that you can. TubeBuddy gives you a really good opportunity to identify the tags automatically. So if you use TubeBuddy, it's like $50 or $60 a month. They'll automatically insert these tags in here and copy and paste them for all your videos if you'd like. So super, super easy. You don't even have to think about it. And then you click on visibility. You want to set that to public, and you go ahead and hit publish. So that's super easy. The winning strategy here is to post 1 video a week if you can. If you can't do that, that's cool. Give me 1 video a month in Detroit, Michigan, or 1 video a month analyzing the real estate market in XYZ city, USA. Frankly, you can even do this with a real estate agent, and you can have a lot of fun going back and forth, and then you can become more famous than Chris and Jason. Like that's the ultimate goal, right? Like I think that's the hashtag, more famous than Jason and Chris.
Dude, because Abhi, nobody's got an excuse not to do 1 video a week. That's what Chris and I preach in every marketing video that we've done in our mastermind or any of our courses or a book. Everything is you need 1 content piece, at least minimum 1 content piece a week, because there you put it on YouTube, you email it out. There's your email broadcast for the week. You can put it on all your social platforms. So everybody here listening, watching, you better be doing 1 video a week. There's minimal. And there's thousands of topics, and they can steal every one of our topics, right? I've done 350 private money minutes. Chris and I have done hundreds of, podcast videos, HMB lives, everything. So back to you, Abhi.
I love it. Yeah, thanks. So something that reminds me that I would do is I would take the private money minute, and I would copy like the keywords in your title, put them in YouTube, and see which ones have the lowest competition, and then go just do a YouTube video on that, inspired by your content, but then like throw in things that are more original to me. So I wouldn't copy everything that you're doing, but I would say, okay, you know, in this video or in this podcast, Jason and Chris talk about these 3 things. Instead of these 3 things, I might incorporate my spin on one of them and then go do my research on Google, because if you don't know how to Google, stop watching the shit. Like, you do this, you're an ostrich anyway. You might as well go live in Bali and live out the rest of your days. But if you, I'm being dead serious. But if you're so inclined, grab one of the topics, Google, use some creative research, and find maybe 2 or 3 additional topics to throw in. All of a sudden, now you got a 5-6 minute video. Like, it's that simple. So what ultimately is then the focus of that particular exercise? High quality thought leadership content that inspires action on trusted platforms. Because as a borrower, you're my leader, right? Like as a borrower, you're my partner, you're my leader, you're my long-term exit. Hell, you're my retirement plan. Like, if I'm borrowing money from you, I'm doing so because I have a goal in mind, whether I want to achieve a certain number of flips every year or every month, or I want to achieve a certain dollar amount so I can set my family financially free. You're not just a partner. You're my freaking retirement plan. So if you really care about, like, now I'm switching hats. So if I'm a lender, I really care about hitting my heartstrings, incorporate some of that into the video, and I guarantee you'll start seeing some results. I really, really think you'll see some results. So I'm gonna stop my share real quick. I want to switch it to the YouTube video that we'll use as a case study, but I've been talking for 30 minutes. So I'd love to maybe hang out for a quick sec, and then we can switch over to YouTube. What do you guys think so far?
Yeah, no, really cool stuff. I've definitely been taking a few notes. I'd not heard of TubeBuddy before, but it sounds like a good tool that maybe we should look into. I'm sure that we could step up our own video game, even though we've been super consistent over the years. I mean, it's always changing, like you said at the beginning, right? So I'm sure that we could definitely step up our game a little bit in terms of, you know, tags and description and some of the other tips that you gave there. So really good stuff.
Awesome. So I'm going to show you guys a recent video that I did in Atlanta. And again, I'm starting from scratch on my YouTube channel because I had a bunch of real estate stuff on there. I had a bunch of flips on there. I had a bunch of entrepreneurship stuff on there. And frankly, I didn't have a really big direction. I didn't have a direction for where I wanted to go on my YouTube channel. So I said, screw it. I'm going to start all over. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you can actually see what I'm doing in real time. And actually, I need to share my sound so you guys can actually, there we go. Perfect. This is even better. Oh, this is going to be good. All right, cool. We're good? All right. So what I want to do is first show you the back end of YouTube and what matters here and what you should be paying attention to, okay? Here, I uploaded this video a couple weeks ago. It's got 112 views, and the views don't matter. Like that's fine. What you're really looking for is watch time and engagement. Like that's ultimately what matters. If you have 10,000 views, but your video has been watched, but your watch time is like 30 seconds, what the hell is the point of even creating a video and doing a lot of post-production? Okay, like that doesn't make any sense. So here, watch time is 7.5, which is 5.5 hours more than usual, which is fantastic for me. Again, I'm starting from scratch, so you can judge me, don't care. And here's what I'm looking for. My average view duration is 4 minutes and 13 seconds. My entire video is 17 minutes and 51 seconds. This is not necessarily a good thing. What this is telling me is, number one, I broke my rule of I want to make videos that are not longer than 10 minutes. I'm okay even stretching it to 12 minutes. 17 minutes, far too long. You'll also see that where the drop-offs occurred. So if you really look at this, YouTube is telling you, stop bullshitting in the first 32 seconds, right? Like that's what it is. I started 100% retention, and it's just like, I thought, hey, cool, let's introduce Sonia. She's such a dear friend. She's an amazing person. I love Sonia, but I should have taken a different approach in my video. I should have done things a little differently, and I'll explain that. You'll actually hear the sound in a second. But we also had a couple of bumps. We had a couple of spikes of interest. When did that happen? Roughly at about 11 minutes and 25 seconds, 12 minutes roughly. And then it just kind of leveled off to like a 33% retention rate. So it's not the best. Again, this is, to give you some background, this is the first in a video series that I'm calling Spending Money. And we talk about real estate, and it's sponsored by one of my really good friends. So nonetheless, if we go to reach, 440 impressions, look at that. This is what I care about, the click-through rate, the 5.5% click-through rate. That means that if somebody sees this on YouTube, they're clicking on it. Like, they're not just gonna let it go by. They're actually looking at the thumbnail, and they're like, hey, cool. The thumbnail here to the top left seems kind of interesting. Into the mind of a wealth builder, what the hell is that? You've got 2 people on there, cool. So it's probably some kind of interview. And there's a little like creative backsplash behind us, which I think is kind of neat. The overall like YouTube thumbnail cost, that cost me like $100 to make. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's a $100 thumbnail. And that thumbnail has gotten me a lot of results, which if you're going all in on YouTube, you might as well spend a little bit of the money. The traffic source types, ideally, because this got pushed out via email lists and things, which I normally don't do, I usually let the YouTube algorithm source all of the traffic. Where the traffic is coming from externally, 37.2% of the traffic is coming from external links and sources. What you really want to pay attention to here are the channel pages and browse features. Ideally, the browse features, the browse, like on the right side, when you watch a YouTube video and you have a lot of YouTube video recommendations on the right side, that's called the browse. If you're there, that is really where you're going to win the game. Channel pages, the YouTube video is featured on my channel page. It's because it's the first video that you see on my channel page. That's where you're getting a lot of content, and you're getting a lot of folks that are clicking through to the video from youtube.com/Abhi Golhar official. But nonetheless, these aren't necessarily the metrics that I want to see. Okay, I want to see the browse features, #1, YouTube search, #2, channel pages, #3, and external, #4. That's really what I'm looking for if I'm all in on YouTube. And then you've got a couple of these things, engagement. What does the typical performance look like? The average view duration, audience retention, and it even tells you, hey, like what happened here? Like this was an interesting point in the conversation. Why was it that at 11 minutes and 25 seconds, my video was at an all-time low? Was it because we kept Sonia talking for too long? And then why was this at 27%? Almost doubling the audience retention rate. That's kind of cool. So look at this, YouTube even tells you 52% of viewers are still watching around the 30% mark, which is typical. And you can learn more by clicking on that to compare it to your other channel videos as well. So this is an interesting video nonetheless. I do want to show you how we start, and then you'll start to see, oh, wait a minute, that first 30 seconds, this is why it dropped. How that graph dropped from like 100% to like 50%. Even though YouTube is saying it's typical, it doesn't necessarily have to be. This is why. Let's turn the volume up here.
Can't hear it on our end.
Oh, can you not hear it?
Nah.
Ah, damn. Okay.
Hold on. Let me see if advanced sharing, change it to on your end. Shoot, I've done this before.
Yeah, select the speaker, is it?
Yeah, see, check that out.
Sorry, did you send something in the chat?
No. I didn't send anything.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I don't fully remember how to do it. Worst case scenario, send me this link and I'll post it on the
okay, perfect.
I'll post it on the feed.
Perfect. So let's just do this. We won't do that. Really what you'll see here is YouTube is even said, do you see this like the white little box here? Essentially, that's the box that YouTube is saying, hey, 52% of viewers are still watching around the 30% mark. When you guys have a chance, what I really want you to do is dig into this video and see what I did right and see what I did wrong based on the conversation we've had before. If I'm a private lender, let me just kind of wrap all this up and kind of sum this up. If I'm new, even if I'm a pro, the one thing that I want to keep doing is providing value for people. And if I'm not doing that, then there's really no point in diving into YouTube. It's like entering a conversation and I'm telling you about how great I am. Like, that's not the way that Jason, Chris, and I built an awesome relationship, right? Like, there's no way. If all Chris heard was, hey, bro, like, dude, I'm the best. Like, what do you think he would do? He'd probably like throw an angry bird at me. Right? That's probably what he would do. But I would say key number one is horizontal video, not vertical video for YouTube, horizontal video. Number two, start out with a little intro. Like, hey, it's Abhi Golhar, a private lender out of Atlanta, Georgia. And let me tell you something, things are moving and shaking in Atlanta. Here are the top 3 things you need to know about the Atlanta real estate market in the 4th quarter of 2021. Like, that sounds like a cool little like intro. And then you go right into the body. If you're interviewing Jason, if you're interviewing Chris, take 3 or 4 or 5 minutes to the interview, sum it up with, hey guys, we talked about 2 or 3 or 4 different things. Listen, if you want to get in touch, I'd be happy to talk through your deals. I'm your partner. I'm here for you 100% of the way. Here's my information. Let's stay in touch. Gotta go. If you keep it casual and if you keep it you'll have a lot of fun. If you try to do something super crazy produced like I did, you're probably not going to be where you want to be. I've had a lot of time in front of the camera, like these 2 gentlemen that are doing this with me. So we're really used to it. But if all you did was go to Amazon, get a little tripod for your phone, hit record, that's all you need. And if you're making it about the borrower and making it about your viewer, that's how you're going to win the game. So I hope you kind of learned some of the tips and tricks that I use to grow channels. And I've done this for some of my clients in the past. If you have any questions about YouTube, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, and I think really a webcam is all you need. I mean, you either need a phone or you need some sort of webcam. It does the trick. And we're always a big component of keep it simple. Like if you need a video editor or you need any post-production, like you're not doing that consistently unless you have that set up already. And most people don't. Keep it simple. And what we've learned, and we've shared this, I don't know, other clients or friends or colleagues have similar results to us, but I'll tell you on all of our lending websites, when we used to buy more properties on our home buying sites, the number one most watched videos and content were like case studies, recently funded deals, testimonials, live, raw, real stuff where it's like, oh, this guy's a human just like I am. And it's real. We get on there, talk about what's, they can see it. If you're out there like this, talking like it's real, right? If you're out there like, reading this, it's not real. And if you get into a property, like we used to do a lot of stuff from properties. You go to a property, you do a case study. It's like, hey, how you doing? Jason Chris from Hard Money Bankers. Just got over to 123 Main Street in Washington, D.C. This investor picked up this great deal. Check it out right here. Look at this place. It's crazy. He bought it for $400,000. This is how much he's doing. This is how much we lent. This is cash to close. Like, that's not even like, it's like just that alone, right? You use your own deal as your own content.
Yeah. And so here's the other, just the kicker here too. If you don't have any deals and you're like, Jason, sounds great, but what if I don't have any deals? You know what my secret to that would be? Go to meetup groups, go to RIA, go to your local Facebook groups, find flippers and say, hey, I would love to showcase your flip and some of the numbers behind your flip on a YouTube series or on a video series that I'm doing. And I'm also a private lender. So I'd love to work with you in the future. So this way, you don't even have to lend out your own money to get a case study video. You can do that with others for free. And of course, they'd be willing to donate their time.
Unlimited content out there.
Yeah, no, I did want, we get that feedback a lot from people we do consulting with, private lenders, also people in the mastermind, is that they get very stuck on what am I going to shoot a video about? And I've noticed a few trends, and this happened to us at the beginning too, is that you start very basic and that's okay, as long as you're starting, because people will just jump in with, it's basic, but it is value to the viewer about, oh, here's where we lend, here's our loan terms. It's like, very basic lending kind of stuff. It's not super entertaining, but if you want to start there, fine. We didn't know what to talk about either. And then you start looking for more stuff that's going on in your business. And that's a great example of piggybacking off someone else's deal or one you're doing yourself, on property type shoots, very quick and easy, way easier now. Like back then we didn't, when we started it, we didn't have iPhones yet. I don't think we were doing this on Canon cameras and that little flip cam thing that we used to have back in the day. So much easier now on the quality of these videos and the audio and everything else. And then just keep looking and thinking, and this is advice to any private lenders out there, keep looking and thinking for little things that you see and things that are going on that could help potential borrowers, right? We'll talk about, here's what we see in the market. Here's do's and don'ts on a flip. Here's some tips on marketing when selling, just like whatever from their point of view might benefit their business in some way.
Yeah.
Keep looking for them, keep jotting them down, make it next week, keep a list, so that you get up on Monday and you have something you can look at to be like, okay, here's what we could make a video about this week.
Yep.
I love that. I mean, I love that. Like, you could even go to alerts.google.com and find out what's going on in your neighborhood and just just shoot a video around that. If there's a development that's happening, promote your neighborhood, promote your city.
Sure.
And then say at the end, guys, there's a lot of opportunity here. And this is how we're attacking it. And this is how my borrowers are doing. Let's rock and roll. You want to get in touch? Call me.
Yep, exactly. And again, that builds credibility. Don't think that your private lenders that you're trying to raise capital from, if you are trying to raise capital, doesn't see that as well. You don't necessarily need to attract them with those videos, but they see you're out there in the public eye trying to find private lenders or trying to find borrowers, trying to bring in business. You're a credibility source. And listen, the other thing is, I think the two things that are the biggest overwhelming things for people is, number one, well, you have hundreds or thousands of videos. I don't have any. I don't know where to get started. It's like, start with one, right? Start with one. And guess what? Next week you'll have two. And the next week you'll have three. And in a year from now, you're going to have 52 of them, right? Like, it's that simple. That's like the first thing that I think people get overwhelmed on. Number two, it's like, well, I get discouraged because I just posted a video and I only got 2 views and one of them was mine. Well, guess what? Every freaking eyeball counts. That's a slogan that Chris and I can't say we made that up, but we talked about from the beginning. It's every eyeball counts. I don't care if I do a video, I get 10 freaking eyeballs. 10 people, and that one stat that you showed earlier related to, the length of the video is way more important than the number of video. Everybody, I know things with I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I know a big thing that they talk about for teenagers and being sociable is kids get really discouraged and lose self-esteem because their friends have thousands and thousands of followers on their social media platforms, and some of the kids don't. It's like, who gives a crap? It doesn't matter. It's not a volume game. You think, just because you have 1 million views, you'd much rather have 100 of the right people. Our company, Hard Money Bankers, if you looked at our numbers, 60 to 70% of our loans are repeat borrowers. Don't you think a repeat borrower is a hell of a lot easier to work with than a new borrower? I could talk to 100 people to get a new borrower. Guess how many people I got to talk to for a repeat borrower, for a referral. So don't even worry about volume and tons of stuff. Just master your little niche, and the conversion rate will just be so much higher. It makes your life so much easier.
For sure. And depending on how much capital you're investing and you're lending out, all you need are a handful of borrowers. You help them grow, you help their teams grow. And now these borrowers are doing 5, 10, 15 maybe deals, depending on how good they turn out to be every single year. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money out the door. That could be 400,000, let's say, per loan that you're doing. What's your average loan, guys, roughly?
I mean, call it 150 for the Hard Money for the members. Cool. I mean, ours is a little bit higher than that, but use it 150. So typically in our world, every deal we close equates to about $10,000 to us between fees and points and servicing fee for the life of the loan.
Got it.
That's
cool.
What we base things off of.
Okay, cool. So let's say we set it up using the HMM system. We've got $150,000 per loan, and we start off with 5 borrowers. 5 borrowers doing one deal. That's $50,000 a year. Now, if we just help those 5 borrowers become a little more efficient, and maybe your content is geared toward, hey, how do I help you add more people to your team, or how can I help you get more streamlined with operations? Now those 5 people can do 2 each. You just turned 5 borrowers into $100,000 a year rev stream to you. So that's incredible. And your $750,000 in loan outlay then goes to 1.5 million a year. All right, so there's some logistics there that you have to work. Maybe you need to raise a little money. Maybe, and I'm not like the complete expert in that, but let's say you pool a little bit of money together, and now that 750 goes to 1.5. Maybe there's a timeline that's shortened because now you can help them operate better, or maybe there's also an equity play there for them. Maybe you're the type of lender that says, yeah, I'm willing to take a little bit of risk. I trust them now. Maybe we can do 50-50 and I'll fund the entire damn thing. I mean, there's a lot of upside there for you with 5 people.
Yeah. I mean, we did true stat. I mean, we did 100 loans for one borrower over the years. I mean, 100 loans, right? And we've got, dozens and dozens of borrowers that we've done, 5 deals for, 10 deals for, 20 deals for, 30 deals for, 40 deals for. Like, that's what fuels the business. Nobody wants to do one deal for a borrower and then have to go find another one. Like, that's why the grind is tough at the beginning, right? We have other offices in other selected areas of the country where we train our partners. And, we had this conversation on Friday that Chris and I were talking about. They were like, how many leads do I need to get to my 8 or 10 deals a month, which is my goal? And he already asked me what mine was. And I was like, mine's very, very different. I just looked through the pipeline. I closed, 7, 8 deals had already. And I looked through them and almost every one of them was a repeat borrower. So I only had to talk to 25 people to do so, to probably get to that, or 50 people to get to that. But I was like, honestly, like, you might need 1,000 people to close 10 deals, or 1,000 inquiries, right? Like, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's, someone like fills out a loan application. It could be like, hey, I'm just getting started. I need, you're talking to that many people. We've closed loans for people that we talked to 10 years ago. Or what, it's an ongoing machine. That's how it's treated. So it's not to scare anybody. The point is you do it and you don't worry about it. You don't take offense for somebody that says, hey, thank you. I'll follow up with you in the future. You're not a good fit for me. Because guess what? You're going to be a good fit for them in the future, right? Continue to do content. Yeah. Continue to send them emails once a week, right? You never know what's going to happen to them. And it's a never ending game. So you got to just not be overwhelmed by it.
I mean, I've been getting emails from you guys on a regular basis for the last 7 years. Mm-hmm. It's the reason why we have the relationship that we do. You're constantly in front of me, which is great. And the emails aren't just like BS emails. They're really in-depth, valuable emails. I take the time to read them. And it's just like, okay, who do I need to talk to up in the Northeast? These guys. Like, they know their stuff. I wouldn't go to anybody else. Like, why?
Yeah. So one tip on that a couple of things. Like, I totally agree that in addition to the traffic and new eyeballs that you can get from video, the building the credibility, and over time, people get to feel like they know you, right? And this happens a lot here in our local market when we were running our meetup group. Now it's online, a little bit different when it was offline pre-pandemic. And people would come talk to Jason because he's very, very client facing in that way, in terms of the borrower side of things. And they would feel like they knew him already because they'd seen him on 10 different videos and, his face in an email, social posts. And in addition to the new eyeballs, just building the credibility with the people who are already seeing you really increases your closing percentage. Yes.
I mean, I suppose that's also why I love doing my blogging. So one of the slides that was in the presentation, but it's like a little after, is once you've created these videos, now what? What do you do? Outside of letting YouTube do its thing, you can embed these videos in a nice long form blog post. And the blog post itself needs to be catered around specific keywords. If you guys have a quick second, I'm happy to show you kind of what that looks like. And I'll just give you my strategy around that too, because then I think it'll round out the conversation around it, which I think would be really cool. So give me 1 sec. Let me just show you what this looks like. Boom, share, boom, here we go. So this is my blog. If you want to check it out, you can check it out. You can also take a look at like how I structure my blogs if you want, just more from an educational perspective. Again, I'm not looking to sell anything. I don't sell anything. I don't know how to do that. I would like go to the pros to make that happen. But essentially, I just posted a blog very recently called the 5 Unconventional Business Strategy Examples that every entrepreneur can learn from. So imagine if you're a private lender, right? That would be kind of cool. The 5 unconventional private lending strategies that every real estate investor can learn from in Atlanta would be a fantastic title. That's winner. Then you can even create a video around that and embed that YouTube video inside of this blog. Let me show you what this blog looks like. Outside of the pretty face on the right side that you'll see in a second, you've got the title here. You've got a little blurb of what the article is going to be, and it goes right into it. Hey, before jumping in, let's quickly go through a couple of business concepts. A business strategy. What that I'm trying to optimize for
is a strategy.
Bingo. Give this man $100. That blue cheese, man. I'm going to email you. I'm going to mail you one. So yeah, business strategy. That's it. So I'm using the word business strategy creatively, but I'm also jiving with the intent of the searcher on Google. So whenever anybody on Google types in something, they want to find the answer to something. So just like YouTube, we run very similar analysis on Google, and we can find out what they want. Hey, there are different levels of business strategy. There's a corporate level strategy. There's a business level strategy. There's a functional level strategy. What are the key components of a business strategy? There's a business objective. There's core values, SWOT analysis, operational tactics, measurement. Oh, wait, but then what are the examples? Hey, number 1, Tesla. Right now, all of a sudden, it's like, what are these? I'm taking something that's a really big name and I'm boiling it down to what can we learn from Tesla? So again, a private lender can absolutely do something like that in a city. Let me explain how. If I'm doing an article or a YouTube video that talks 5 best flipping strategies in Atlanta for 2022, I can take some of the biggest flippers in Atlanta, do a little profile on them. What can we learn from this person? What can we learn from this person? And then email their team saying, hey, we wrote a blog post on you. We'd love to do an interview, or we'd love to do a video together. That becomes the basis of content that you can push out on YouTube, and it will get popular. It'll just take time. So effectively, what did I do in this blog article? I talked about business strategy. I gave examples of business strategy, and Google now will start to crawl this site for not only search intent of the person that's typing in business strategy into Google, but then also the keywords that are strategically included inside this article. You can also do this inside your video. So my last tip here before we kind of wrap up, when you are doing your video, think about it in terms of a blog. Think about it as if you are writing a blog. So if you were going to do a video on private lending in Atlanta, I would say, hey, private lending in Atlanta is on fire in 2022. Here are the top 3 things you need to know about private money lending in Atlanta in 2022. Do you see how I'm using the keyword even when I'm speaking? Why is that important? Because YouTube automatically recognizes the words that are coming out of your mouth. So if you're slurring and you're using a lot of ums and like, and well, that's not good for the YouTube algorithm. Enunciate, pronunciate your words, and I'm not saying talk like a robot, but if you can include some of these keywords inside of your video will start to rank higher than others for those particular keywords, which means what? You get more business. So I wanted to use that as a quick little example.
Brilliant. All really, really good stuff. Well, Abhi, we appreciate it. Like always, lots of very, very good content. And you are definitely the type of guest that we got to circle back with,
You got it, man.
Again, because things change.
Yeah.
And like Chris and I are stuck, there's some things in our marketing game that are stuck in the past. And, we've made habits and we've kept them simple, and we're doing them right. And doing them is, is still great. But we could step them up a little bit. And, we've been chatting about figuring out ways to step up our YouTube game a little bit, just because we've got thousands of videos of content and we're good at doing the videos, right? It's a habit, right? You just got on my calendar. Cool.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. Perfect. Let's do it. But there's ways that we can maximize it.
Yeah, for sure.
In addition to that, I just want to give one last tip to everyone listening or watching is that a lot of people, and I've noticed this in the mastermind group, make the mistake of planning to do their marketing after they get everything else done. And that's not the way the shit gets done, right? If you want to put something into your operating system, into your game plan, it has to be a priority, right? Like you're getting up on Monday morning and you're looking at your week, and your marketing type stuff that you know you need to be doing needs to be in there. Could be email, broadcast, videos, social posts, combination, all of them. It's not something that should be done after you finish everything else in the world, because that never happens. Everyone should know that by now. If you want to get something done new like this, that you want to add to your business plan, prioritize it, calendar it, put on a list, whatever you need to do. Just recognize that it's a priority, right? Not an afterthought.
Abhi, appreciate it.
Love it.
If you can, maybe just give everybody a quick rundown of where they can find you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Shoot me an email, abhi@abhigolhar.com, abhi@abhigolhar.com. It's my email address. I promise it's not a robot. Though I may have Brandy, my executive assistant, email on my behalf every now and then, just because I do get slammed up. But regardless, as Chris just mentioned, I will prioritize this group because you guys are super, super cool. You can find me anywhere online at Abhi Golhar. If you want to start checking out the YouTube stuff, do that too. It's just youtube.com/Abhi Golhar official.
Abhi, appreciated it. If you're listening to this on the Private Lenders podcast and you would prefer to watch it on video, it's going to be posted in the Hard Money Mastermind group. That's hardmoneymastermind.com. If you have yet to create your free account, what are you waiting for? Get over to hardmoneymastermind.com. We're in there, we're chatting, we're doing videos. There's a lot of great chatter, anything related to private lending and hard money lending. So thanks again, Abhi. Take care.
You got it. Thanks, guys.